Hello loves, and welcome back to the channel. We have quite a bit to discuss, quite a bit to talk about. Mercury is retrograde. This is going to be a late night weekly healing circle because your girl was in a meeting, so I had to push the live a little bit, and I didn't know what time it was going to end, so I didn't know if I should, post it already, and then it was the whole thing. But we're here. We're still here. I hope that you guys had a very good eclipse journey so far. How did the eclipse treat you is the question. How are you feeling? Are you okay? Are you still alive? Are you still with us? Like, let me know in the comments how y'all doing. The moon is currently in Cancer, which is great for just like not only self-nourishment, but also in preparation for the lunar eclipse in Scorpio. Also, since we're talking about the lunar eclipse in Scorpio, don't forget to get the tickets for the lunar eclipse in Scorpio ceremony that we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing a release ceremony. So make sure that y'all get y'all tickets for that. We're going to be doing a lot. We're going to do a meditation, tarot. We're going to be doing some chanting as well. We're going to do a prayer as well. There's going to be a lot. And there's also the workbook that's coming up for the release workbook. So I'm going to be doing, I have a lot of different types of workbooks on my website, as you guys know. And we're still going to be, there's going to be more that are also going to come through. So stay tuned for those. But this eclipse, when I was sitting with Spirit and the ancestors, and I was like, okay, what should the focus be? It was release. So that's what we're doing. Also, welcome to Taurus season. Welcome to Taurus season. Okay. I hope that, Taurus season is giving you a little bit more grounding. Okay. May, Jupiter is about to go into Taurus, so it's going to be a pretty big shift from Jupiter being in Aries to Jupiter being in Taurus. So welcome the grounding energies and the little chaos that Uranus is going to bring through, because that's going to happen. Okay. Hello. Hi. How are you? Mari said it's been up and down. Yes, it has been. Y'all notice I haven't been posting the past couple of days. It's because the eclipse, the energies. It was the energies. Because your girl has to do, her own thing too. But there's a lot of different things that Spirit wants me to post. So stay tuned for the videos that are gonna come up, because they're going to be fun. So stay tuned for those. But there's still a lot of work that we have to do. So, but Nasia says they're struggling Chile. Listen, it feels like you have like almost like a rock bottom moment before you like start climbing back up. Stick through it. Stay through it, okay? Stick through it, okay? Bree said, eclipse treated me great, manifested a chief flight to see my long distance partner. Oh, that sounds amazing. I mean, we did say that when it comes to relationships, there was going to be some stuff going on. So you see, everybody has a different experience when it comes to the energies and what it brings. But so glad that, your girl loves affordable stuff. So I'm glad that you were able to secure that. Naida says, phew, what a weekend it was. It is Ned. I cannot pronounce the thing right. Are you doing yes or no readings? No, this is a general reading. This is the weekly collective messages. I'm just reading the comments right now. But yeah, what a weekend it was. What a weekend it was. It was very intense, was it not? Like, even when the moon was in Taurus, it was really intense. Even when it was in Gemini, it was really intense. There was a lot of messages coming through. There was a lot of things being delivered. There was a lot of, and now on top of that, Mercury is in retrograde. So fun time to be alive, fun time to be doing the work, right? It's definitely really important right now to stay grounded and, push through the best that we can. As we're having these breakthroughs, for some people, the breakthroughs is happening like right away and it's like right in your face. And for others, it's definitely taking a little bit longer. There's definitely going to be some breakthroughs going on. There's definitely going to be some shifts. Wow, starting off the bat for this week, we have the Fool and the Three of Swords. So starting off this week, it's definitely shift. There's some stuff that's shifting. There's some things that have to shift. There's some things that have to shift. And the energy is definitely building as well. We're starting off this week with, again, the moon's in Cancer. We're having a water moon, right? And we're building up to this powerful lunar eclipse in Scorpio. Okay, so be mindful of your feelings. Okay, feelings are everything. You're intuitive, what your spirit is telling you, how you're vibing, how you are picking up on energies, what the messages that are coming through. And this could be from everywhere. That includes your dreams, that includes like you communicating with people, that includes you, whether you're doing divination or not. Like, messages are coming through from everywhere. So don't disregard the messenger, because it could be from someone very unexpected. We have the Fool, the Three of Swords, and the Six of Cups. Okay. Then we have the Five of Wands and the Moon. There are some things. Oh, bottom of the deck is the Knight of Wands and the Hermit. There's still some healing that is in progress. Some healing that is still like calibrating. Some healing that is still aligning, grounding. There's some healing that is stabilizing. It's a word that's coming through. There's healing that's stabilizing. There is a centering that's happening. And then there's a working through some of the turbulence. There is going to be turbulence, okay? But it needs to get sorted. That's a problem. Like, the way that the reading is coming up, it's like, okay, I see that there's a forward movement, right? There's forward movement with the Fool card. But then there's the Three of Swords. There's still certain things that need to be sorted, that need to be put in place. And that's going to be the stuff that's coming up within your subconscious mind. There's a reason why the last card we're getting is the Moon, okay? Our subconscious mind, with that Five of Wands, you're going to be getting some messages as far as to what's happening within the spiritual realm, what's happening, how people are moving, how people are coming about, what's going on around you, how you're moving too. What's going on within your own subconscious, how you're processing things, how you're taking stuff in. Okay. You might be saying one thing, but then your subconscious is processing something else and it needs to calibrate. And that you might find that a little bit, disturbing or combative, or feeling like you need a release or a breakthrough or a shift. There's certain things that are calibrating. And it comes down to this. It comes down to that Six of Cups energy. It comes down to, regrounding and emotionally coming back down to center. It comes back to your own comfortability, and taking away the chaos and trying to ground amidst the chaos. Okay. Keep in mind that within this whole week's reading, even though we're deep into, Taurus, that earthy energy, the cards that we're getting are very air, water, and fire. And then underneath it all, underlining everything, we have the Hermit energies. Because there's healing that's happening. This week there is a calibration. Your journey, you might find yourself feeling like, like questioning yourself. Did you make the right choice? Was that what was best for you? Was there another way? You might find yourself missing someone. You might find yourself feeling like, wait, the distance gave me clarity. You might find yourself feeling like you need to fight for something. You might find yourself, your emotions being a lot more clear, like your inner truth actually coming back to life, like coming, being a lot clearer than they have been in a while. Because for some of you, taking a leap, initiating a separation has brought back the value in that thing. Has brought some clarity that you didn't have because you were looking at it through a whole different perspective. So there is a different perspective that's coming through, especially with that Three of Swords. Especially with that Three of Swords. There's a different perspective that is being integrated. There's a different perspective that is being taken in. There's a different perspective that you have to work through now. That requires a different perception in order for you to get back to this more grounded, more, in comfort energy. Okay. And so the chaos that's happening, it's kind of like the calm that needs to happen after the storm passes. It's kind of like the residual energies of your own actions. It's triggering a healing that needed to take place. Like it needed to happen. This healing needed to happen. But it's like you weren't going to process it any other way. You weren't going to understand it any other way. You had to go through this the way that you're going through it, the way that you're processing it. And so make sure that you're holding space for your own reflection. You might have a breakthrough towards the end of the week because we're ending it with the Moon card. Okay. And so that's that Piscean energy, right? That's that energy of reflection. Your dreams might be very active as well. If you're starting to see certain things within your dreams, certain messages are coming through, certain people are coming through, certain things are just happening within your dreams. Those are things that you're going to have to go ahead and handle spiritually. Keep in mind that, the messages that are coming through in your dreams are signifying a deeper internal residual energy. You could literally just be having things that you just need to process. Like the door needs to be closed on certain things. Like you could have moved on from somebody or whatever, whether it was last week or whether it was 6 months ago, and you still didn't process what you needed to process about that. You didn't do the reflection properly. And so now is the time where the reflection needs to come into a conclusion so that you can move forward, because we're starting the week with that full energy. Okay. We're still feeling like very purposeful. We're still feeling like very determined. We're still feeling like, man, I got stuff to do. I have to, I got stuff to do. We're still feeling like that way, that purposeful energy. But the question is, when your purpose brings you back into reflection so you can stay in alignment with your purpose, are you going to take that, or are you just going to try to bury it and focus on the future and focus on, the action that needs to be taken? No, it's time. You have to make sure that you are healing. As you're trying to move forward, you do have to heal. You can't just burst through the doors and walk in. You might not be ready to take those steps through the door fully in that way. Certain things take a little bit more time. And so as that time is taking place, as things are calibrating, it's really important to breathe and reflect. Okay. Because you have to understand we're building towards this lunar eclipse energy. And it's in Scorpio. So, okay, we're building towards this lunar eclipse energy, which is going to lead to a very, very potent emotional transformation. Which, in the end, it's just trying to bring you back to here. That Six of Cups energy. Right? So, how are you holding space for your reflection? Through these changes, through this passion that you're feeling, through this, like, you know, all this buildup of energy. Because the energy is pretty intense. Let's keep it 100. The energy, the eclipse energy is really, really, really intense. It just is. And so how are you keeping, you know, how are you staying grounded? How are you, you know, processing what you need to process? What is coming up for you? What is coming up for you? What is like almost haunting? What is happening that feels like, man, I have to work through that, or I have to, like, I need to hold space for that, or I still, this is still kind of haunting me, or why is this thing still coming up in my dreams the way that it is, you know? How are you holding space for yourself and your healing, right? You have relief. Relief. Because there's something about this week that needs, again, is the tension. It needs to, this energy, this combative, it needs to be released. You need to go into and walk into the future with like a clean slate. And so it's almost like trying to eat off a plate that's not clean. And you know it's not clean. And you know it's sitting in the sink. And it's been a minute and you didn't clean it. And you're just taking it just like that and trying to eat from it. That's what it is. That's what the energy is. And so you have to think about, like, okay, does that make sense? Or would I feel better if I just wash my plate so I can eat, you know, and not feel like, I'm gonna get sick. Something's contaminated. It's not gonna taste right, you know? Like all of these different, the tensions. It would just feel better if you did things correctly, right? If you did things properly. So that energy of relief is going to call you to navigate through not only the combative like energy, but also a lot of the mental, some of the mental like torment that's happening up here. Some of the stuff that's coming up consciously and subconsciously, especially within your dreams. Focus. The focus card. Focus. And the message is clear. Your focus right now should be making it as smooth as possible for yourself. Don't make it more difficult for yourself. Don't make it more overwhelming for yourself. Don't make it more like it doesn't have to, if it don't have to be complicated, don't make it more complicated. There is a lot of people that like literally feed off the drama and feed off like toxicity and feed off the chaos, feed off of it. It's almost like they have to have something going on so they can complain about it. It's weird. It'd be weird though. That's weird. And so because of the focus of the week before, because of the focus of this year, because of how we're getting pushed to follow and stay in alignment and hold our vision and push through, because of that focus, okay, it requires us to move forward with a clean slate. And if you're not holding space for you to have a clean slate, if you're not holding space for you to move forward healed versus, you know, unhealed and just navigating from a space where you're just like really being reactive instead of intentional, it's gonna make it so you're feeling like you're carrying a weight. And so those reflections that we're getting called to do right now are truly because of this lunar eclipse deep transformation that's going to happen, this emotional push. You might really feel like you're getting pushed to the edge emotionally. And this is why we're doing the prep work, right? We're doing the reflections that needs to happen. We're thinking about what it is that we need to release, what it is that we need to, how we need to feel realigned, what it is that's going to bring us relief, what is going to make you happy right now, what's going to make you feel like you're okay, like you're feeling good. What is it that you personally need to focus on that's going to bring you that relief? What is it? Okay. Because if there's stuff that's in the way of that, that's what's going to be triggered during the lunar eclipse, is going to trigger those transformations. It's going to actively trigger those very deep transformations. And you will be required to then emotionally have this powerful release that then feels really, really intense. Okay? We have the magic card. And I'm also not surprised about this because we did get the moon card as our last card for this week. Mind you, bottom of the deck is transformations, was just the butterfly card, right? And for those who don't know, Pisces actually rules spirituality in, well, technically all the water signs do, but it's Pisces, it's Neptune, rules spirituality in astrology. So the way that a lot of these messages and a lot of the things that are coming up within your subconscious, within your dreams, within your cards, like within, you know, you could literally be talking to someone and having a profound realization or conversation that just ultimately makes something click up here. And then all of a sudden you're seeing something from a different perspective. And that in itself is healing. That is in itself someone channeling a message for you without even knowing that you needed to hear that thing. Like the way spirit moves and the way that things get delivered sometimes are unclear. And that's on that Piscean energy. But there's a lot going on spiritually. A lot of people are also using this energy with the eclipses to move funny. There's people who are going to be moving funny as well. You have to keep that in mind when it comes to how other people are reacting to your changes, your opinions, your perspective, your decisions, especially if it includes them. And then also especially if it doesn't include them either. Be mindful of how people are moving around you, because you could have stuff coming up in your readings and being like, oh, spirit's like, you know, there's some spiritual energy that's being sent to you. There's some stuff that's being worked on, because there's some people that will tap into eclipse energy because the energy is so intense and work with it in a way that is malicious or that is actively causing chaos. And I'm not trying to speak shit on, you know, chaos practitioners or anything of the sort, because everybody can do whatever the hell they want to do in that regard. But when it comes to harming others or actively just being combative just to be combative, like it doesn't hold the actual purpose. Understand that certain people, if certain, you feel like, and especially intuitively, if you feel like certain people are moving funny, they're moving funny. Listen to your damn self, okay? The moon card is also the card of intuition. Listen to yourself. If something doesn't feel right, it's because it isn't right. If something doesn't feel right, it's because it isn't right. Okay? You don't need other people to validate your own intuitive abilities. Yes, it's great to have confirmation for certain things. But if something doesn't feel right, something doesn't feel right. It's important right now for you to listen to yourself, because certain people are playing games with this energy. And certain people are playing with the wrong one. And it's a F around and find out kind of thing. And so as people are using this energy and this opportune time to play some games and do, you know, play some stupid games, you need to be mindful on keeping your energy again, in this state of relief. Like you need to try to like keep yourself neutral. Make sure you're practicing protection work, because when I tell you people are moving funny, people are moving funny. People are moving funny. And it's being done spiritually. You might have like some evil eye situation going on. You might have some jealousy around you. You might have some people who just don't really care to have like want the best for you. They'd rather just judge. Like their whole personality with you is just judgment and just shitting on you and bringing you down for absolutely no good reason. And making you feel small. Okay, making you feel small. The energy is not. It's not in balance. And so because it's combative energy, you have to be mindful how people are moving. Okay. People are moving funny. Please protect your energy. Please protect your spirit. Please make sure that you are holding space and listening to yourself. It could be your damn best friend, and you could just be like, yo, something's off. Do not gaslight yourself and make yourself feel like, you're making stuff up and all that. Listen, you could know someone for a really long time, and they could literally start moving funny tomorrow. And do you truly know why? Will you truly know why? Sometimes no. Sometimes you'll never find out. But people will move funny. So be very careful. Protect your space. Protect your energy. Make sure you're not doing your spiritual baths, especially with all of the emotions. Start off this week with a spiritual bath. The moon is currently in Cancer. This is a great time to just settle the energies, release any tension, release anything. Okay, release. Just gonna have a nice spiritual bath. And if you can't do a spiritual bath, do a spiritual shower. You guys know I'm very fond of spiritual showers, because spiritual baths can be very expensive, right? And sometimes people don't have a bathtub. Okay, and so spiritual showers are just as potent. It's just slightly different, and it's totally fine. It's totally valid. But when in doubt, just take a spiritual bath or a spiritual shower. Start off the week with one, just to help yourself through the emotional things that are happening, through the mental things that are happening, and through also when it comes to the dreams. There's a lot of dream stuff happening. There's a lot of people moving funny in your dreams too. You might have people show up in your dreams that you don't really expect. That you were like, whoa, why is this person coming up like this? You could be literally trying to show yourself, or even spirit or your ancestors could be trying to show you something that's happening behind the scenes in your dreams that you don't really fully understand until you sit and reflect on it. And this is why we're getting this moon card energy. Okay. This is why we're getting the moon card energy. Keep your eyes on your targeted intention. That's that focus energy. Okay, that's that Archer energy. That's that Sagittarius. That's that Sagittarius energy. Okay. It's a lot. It's a lot, but you do have to stay determined and stay focused on what it is that you need to do and how you need to handle the situation as well, because it can feel like it can feel overwhelming with this energy, the combative energy, that 5 of Wands energy. People starting fights out of nowhere, people just like having an attitude out of nowhere, like all of a sudden they're talking to you weird and you're like, who you think you're talking to? Why are you talking to me like that? Why are you taking something out of me? All of a sudden it's like the vibe changed and people moving funny. Keep in mind how people are also projecting what they're going through on top of you too. Because sometimes it won't even be you. It'll be they're going through something and they'll like throw it at you. Like, because they don't know how to process their own stuff. So they're just going to push it on somebody else. Okay? Be very, very, very mindful of that. Especially because Mercury's in retrograde in Taurus, and Taurus is very stubborn. Okay? So let's talk about it. Really, really, really stubborn. Love my Tauruses. We are sister signs. But it is on that level that, wait, I think this zoomed out a little bit. It is on that level that when it comes to grounding, when it comes to how it needs to feel, Taurus needs to feel stable. Taurus needs to feel like it has what it has. It feels comfortable with what it has. It doesn't want to like separate from what that purpose is, what it has. It just wants to stay on that consistency, on that routine, on that relationship, on that thing. Like, it's just, that's how it wants to stay grounded. But on the not so great side, it can be very stubborn about certain things. So when it comes to the mind and Mercury energy, Mercury is fluid. Mercury is it's a fluidity type of energy. It requires to constantly be put in motion. Constantly. It requires it to always almost be in this motion. Because if you look at the signs that Mercury rules, Gemini and Virgo, even though Virgo is an earth sign, it is still very much always in motion. It literally rules health, healing, serving others, as well as disease. When does serving others ever stop? When does that ever stop? People always need help. People always need assistance. People always need. People have needs. And so when it comes to that earth energy, Virgo focuses in on the body because it rules medicine. So it focuses on maintaining the health of the physical body. The physical body is constantly in motion. The physical body is always picking up on different energies, always picking up on different things, always absorbing and resolving things. We're always addressing things. So we're constantly in motion. Virgo is constantly addressing things. Virgo is constantly having to give medicine, do what it needs to do, and address the issues. And Gemini always has to be in motion. They are literally air. Okay? Air signs, what happens to air when it's locked in? What happens to air when it is stuck in a space? It becomes toxic. Air needs to continue to circulate. It needs to continue to flow. When it stays trapped in a space, it becomes literally poisonous. Like, if you look at a lot of the temples and the different things that gets opened up, right? And then people are like, oh, you have to air it out for 3 days. You can't just, walk in to a burial or secluded space or a temple or something. You can't just walk up in there and be like, oh yeah, we're just gonna open it, bust our way through, when the air has been tightened, sealed for like millennia, and be like, yeah, I'm just gonna walk in here. If you walk in there, you will literally die because the air is poisoned. It's toxic. It is not even oxygen anymore, because it's just been sitting in that space. And so when it comes to that fluidity, when it comes to that Mercury energy, Mercury is a fluid, reactive planet. It needs to react. It needs to flow. It needs to continue the perspective. Mercury is literally your mind, your conversation, your consciousness, how you're processing information. But in Taurus is a little bit more stubborn. Taurus don't want stuff low. Okay? That's not Taurus is perfect. Taurus is it's not a mutable sign. Gemini and Virgo. The fact that Mercury has 2 out of the 4 mutable signs. Come on now. Taurus is a fixed sign. Fixed, all the fixed signs, very, very like grounded in the sense that they don't really want things to change. They don't want things to be different because it's uncomfortable for them. It doesn't feel like a safe space if it feels like it's going to change the next second. You know what I mean? While Gemini can literally be like down for whatever any second of the day. You could just hit them up and just be like, yeah, let's go. Meanwhile, for a sign that is so grounded, it just requires stability. And because Tauruses require that stability when it comes to the mind, right? You have the planet that's super fluid, super like ebbs and flows, super, it processes things at the speed of like sounds, okay? To be in retrograde in Taurus then highlights a part of our own consciousness that needs to be shifted, where we have been stuck, where we have been stubborn, okay? Where we have been holding on to certain things. Let me just get the cards. Where we have been holding on to certain things that have been self-destructive, that have not been for our, greatest good, that have been actively contributing to our own chaos, okay? And so when it comes to Taurus energy, when you're talking about the shadow side of Taurus, because every sign has its good and bad, in the middle ground, okay? Every sign has the way that it can be used at its best, the way that it can be used at its worst, and the very neutral way that it can, come through and manifest. When it comes to Taurus, at its worst, it can hoard things. It can overconsume things. Why? Because Taurus also rules food. It rules like possession and value. What you possess, what you have. Tauruses literally rule what you value. That includes people. That includes physical things. That includes money. That includes your body. That includes food, because they also rule food. So when it comes to using Taurus energy in a toxic form, that would be overeating. That would be eating horrible food just because they taste good and they feel good. Why? Because Taurus is ruled by the planet of pleasure. So it's constantly wanting to attain and have things that feel good. And in its shadow side, it's even if it's bad for you, but it feels good. So you could value things that are not good, but feel good. And right now, that mentally, you're going to have to reevaluate and process through Mercury being in retrograde. How has things that you have held on to, how has things that you have actively held on to, habits, people, things, how have they been more harmful to you than helpful? Because you could love something, you could love someone, you could love whatever it is, and it could literally be very harmful to you. It could literally be impacting you in negative ways, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. And so what is it that right now, as you are trying to go into this journey, moving forward, taking those steps, figuring stuff out, as you're trying to figure things out, how are you analyzing these things? That, again, could feel like for so long they've meant so much to you, that could feel like they were the greatest thing, or it's you just love it, but it's bad for you. And then it becomes, self-harming. Because it's not helping you. So it's not self-help, right? It's not self-care. It's self-harming. So when it comes to Mercury being in Taurus in retrograde, this retrograde is going to push you into reflecting in how you have held on to certain habits, certain things, certain people that while you may value or care for or love or just hold at a high regard to some whatever capacity, how those same things are also causing you harm and chaos unnecessarily. That's the key here for this week. Because as you're having these dreams and as these things are coming to your head, and as you're like, wait, this is kind of weighing on me. I don't really like the way that this was said. I don't really like being spoken to in this way. I don't really like the way this person, went about this conversation. I don't really like the way that this is a pattern, and I keep ignoring it because I really love this, but it's getting a little much now. How are you reflecting on these things? Because the retrograde is going to push you into reflection anyway. So keep in mind that when it comes to Taurus energy, especially because it's Taurus season, because Taurus rules what you have, possession, what you value, what means a lot to you, and how having those things brings you that pleasure, makes you feel good, whether it's money, whether it's love, whether it's friendships, whatever it is. As you are in the state of reflection is so you're making room for the things that need to come in. There's things that have been just taking up space that you best believe once they are gone, you will feel so much more relieved than you do currently. And so it's about reevaluating. It's about shifting. It's about releasing. It is about focusing on you. You can't say that you practice self-care and you allow things that actively harm you and you partake in it and you just continue to uplift it, continue to just give it time, give it space, give it a presence in your life. You can't say that you practice self-care and do that at the same time. Because how are you helping you? How are you centering yourself? How are you setting yourself up for success? How are you okay? How are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? And how can you be okay when you know this is weighing on you the way that it's weighing on you? There's a reason why some people say you have to love something. Sometimes you gotta love from a distance. Sometimes you have to love certain things from a distance. Because when you love too close, it's like, but you're not good for me. But this is not good for me. But what is not good for me? This is not it. Respect and love from a distance takes discipline. Discipline that not everybody has, and you have to build towards. Discipline. Discipline takes a lot of determination and a lot of what? Focus. You have to make it a priority. If you don't make it a priority, you will be overwhelmed by the things that you need to deprioritize. And so this week, we're in a state of reflection of that. This week, it's a reevaluation. This week, you really have to, you really have to hold space for how you're really feeling. Because this is not the way to continue your journey. And in part, that relief that you're searching for, there's a reason why that relief is so needed. Okay? There's a reason why that release is so needed. We're getting diplomacy and kindness. Because for those who need to handle some of the combative situations and energies and folks that are, doing a lot of this, there's some things that you might need to handle very, very gently. we're also getting cunning and resourceful. So you might literally need to approach something in a certain way. Like strength and confidence. You the way you might approach it might need to be a little bit tactical. Like this is not like a crash and burn kind of rip the bed like kind of situation. Like you need to be very, very tactical with the way that you are approaching some of these things, some of these connections, some of these things that you need to process, right? Because you don't want to make things more combative. You don't want to create a cycle of that. You want to what? There's a reason why we're getting this relief card, this relief energy. Okay. There's a need to have that relief, to have that release and that relief. And you know, like that feeling after you cry and you just feel like, even though the whole situation might not be resolved, you just slightly feel a lot better. Like it just feels like, oh my God, I had too much water on my cup and I had to like let some of that water out my cup, because if I just tip that cup a little bit or even grabbed it, it's just gonna spill. And you just needed to like let go of some of it just so you can like be okay. That's this feeling. This is why when you cry, even if the situation is very much ongoing, even if the situation feels like it's not resolved yet, even if the situation is like, oh, it's still going, there's still a lot that has to be addressed. It's like when you cry, even if you've cried till you can't cry anymore, because that happens. Everybody goes through that where they just keep crying and crying and crying, and then eventually your body's like, I can't give you any more water. I can't give you any more, because then you're taking your own vitality with that. Because y'all gotta remember, we are majorly made out of water. We can't cry all of our water away. We can't. Your body won't let you. So you get to that point where you can't even let it come down. It won't come out anymore. And your body's telling you, there's no more water left. You've already released the water that needs to come out. And so the moment that comes, once you start to accept that no more water will flow out of you, and then when you start to like just breathe and relax a little bit, there's a sense of relief. Even if it still feels like that situation is still haunting, you still feel a lot lighter. One, because you've done released a bunch of water out of your damn body. Let's just be 100% for real. But two, because that release of the water, that's part of your emotional energy. That's part of you coming to terms with the situation, coming to grasp with the situation, which sometimes it can be really intense. It can feel like the answer, the solution is not in that moment, but you need that breakthrough. And sometimes that release in crying helps release the tension, helps release the frustration, helps release the blockage itself. Y'all don't know how many times I've done just sat in my altar and cried with my ancestors, and then 15 minutes later the whole thing was resolved. And you would be surprised. You really would be surprised. Crying to your ancestors, crying to the ocean too. Woo! How quickly that water that runs through you goes straight to spirit. How quickly those emotions and that thing that you're building and releasing, it just goes straight to spirit, and spirit recognizes it right away. Like there's literally been times I just sit on my altar and I'm just like bawling. And not only is it healing, but it is very supportive too, because then you're not crying alone. And you know you're being heard. Because when you just sit in a corner and you're crying alone, or you're just in your room crying alone, it feels like you're alone. But when you're crying on your altar and you're giving it to spirit, Nah. Ancestors, they like almost get to work almost too fast. Almost too fast. When I tell you, there's been things that I literally just like, whoo, about on the altar. And then 10 minutes later, it gets resolved. And I'm like, damn. I guess I needed to release that. So it all was for something, right? There's a purpose. So it's very healing to just give it to spirit, give it to your ancestors. Okay? And this is the other thing that I always, always, always tell everybody because it's so important. Y'all, your ancestors know the stuff that you feel that you're going through. They have went through the same shit. They have felt the same emotions. They have felt the same intensity. And so when you give it to your ancestors and you're just like, listen, it hurts. This is how I'm feeling. And you're just giving it to spirit, they recognize that because they went through that same shit too. So that comforting energy, that strength, that support that they provide, that nourishment happens quickly because they realize that first of all, you don't need to be made to feel alone in those moments. You don't need to be made to feel, like you're processing things alone or like you're not supported. This is why I tell everybody to pray all the time. Talk to your ancestors, talk to spirit. Tell them what's on your mind. Tell them how you're feeling. I talk to my ancestors every day, all day, every day, most of the time. If something's going on, I'll tell them, this happened. This was weird. Or this, I went over here and I was having this conversation. It was kind of, I don't know what's happening, but I had a weird vibe. And once you start talking to your ancestors that way, they'll start confirming stuff too. As far as validating your intuition goes, you will start seeing you was right about that thing come up. Like quick. It's important to have that support system because it helps with this. It helps to feel that relief. It helps to feel that support. It helps to feel that, you're not doing everything alone. And I always have to say this because it is the absolute truth, but you are carrying the blood of all of your ancestors. So you are not alone. You have your own soul's journey, yes, but you also are part of your bloodline. You have a purpose in your bloodline. So you're not alone because you have all of that blood running through you. You have all of that knowledge running through you. You have all of these spiritual gifts running through you. And you have that support system when you need it, when you want to tap into it. Because you best believe there's people that will be going through something emotionally and they will shut themselves out from everything. And they want to feel completely alone. They don't want to feel like they have any support because they just want to feel like shit. There's people that thrive in that energy. And there's people that can create in that energy. I'm not going to say, first of all, it's that Piscean energy. It's also that Scorpio energy. Scorpios do that too. Cancers do that too. All the water signs do that too. They can sit in energy sometimes and emotions just to feel something. Okay? Just to feel something. Like they need to feel something. There's a reason why Pisces, in their unhealthiest form, in their shadow part, they won't let go of their exes. They won't let go of certain situations. They'll sit and reflect on it. They'll go back to the emotion. They'll pinpoint the emotion, how they felt, and they will replay it. Why do you think they rule reflection? It's like replaying a song. Because they rule creativity. All music, all forms of entertainment. Pisces energy. It's like repeating a song over and over and over again just because you want to feel that thing, that moment. You want it to take you back. It's like reminiscent. It's reflective. But is it productive? Yes. It is important to reflect. Yes. And especially Piscean energy is important. It's important to do this. Yes, art is important. And yes, it can be healing. Part of that reflecting is also very much healing and can help heal other people. But the thing with Piscean energy is that it's not one thing that you're getting. The energy itself can be used in so many different ways. And in its most toxic self, it can stay emotionally drawn to certain things that occurred just to feel something. Just to have something. Especially if there's nothing going on in their present moment, but they need to feel something, they just go back to that moment. And it's not productive. Mind you, Pisces is a mutable sign. It's supposed to ebb and flow. So it does have moments where it ebbs backwards. And again, that comes back into their energy of reflection, what you're thinking about. There's stuff that comes into your head that you haven't thought about in years. It happens. You know, we ebb and flow. Our minds, our consciousness ebbs and flows. But to stay stuck in something, in time specifically, that you cannot live in a physical form. And I say this is a Capricorn because we literally are ruled by the planet of time. To spend too much time reflecting on a reality that you are no longer living in without purpose, right? Because Pisces, again, creativity, all forms of art. When they're transmuting that energy and they're putting it into art and they're creating, they're at their best. They're at their best. But when they stay stuck in it, they start to waste time. And the clock is always ticking. And yes, time is very much relative. But the clock is always ticking. And Saturn is like, you know, there comes a time where then you have to check in and you have to look at how much time you spent reflecting on that reality that you are not living in. And then you have to accept that you done wasted your time because you weren't doing anything with it. You were just sitting in those emotions. And so while it is very productive to navigate through Pisces energy, it is, because having that creativity, and even if you're working through it spiritually, because Pisces also rules spirituality. We talked about this. Even if you're navigating it through spiritually, you don't want to get stuck in something, in a feeling, in a situation, in a relationship. This is why they have the reputation of not being able to let go of their exes. Especially, again, non-healthy Pisces. I have to say that specifically. Because there's some really bomb healthy Pisces out there that don't do that shit. Okay? They don't do that shit. Oh! They allow themselves to heal. But on the general level, when it comes to things, you know, every single sign has a stereotype, right? A collective stereotype. Pisces' stereotype is that they're the most sensitive and that they can never get over their exes. That's the collective stereotype. Is it super accurate? A bit. Is it good to generalize the whole entire collective? No. Because there's some that use it productively. There's some that actually do what they're supposed to be doing with it. But you will find, I honestly would say, 6 out of 10 Pisces will still be in love with their exes. And I get it. They're an emotional sign. It's hard to master that ebbing and flowing of water, you know, but it is something that needs to happen. And so as we're navigating all of these emotions, as we're navigating our own consciousness, we have to be mindful of how we've allowed ourselves to stay stuck in these situations, in these moments that, you know, have not been the best. And we need to proactively do the reflection needed to move on now. especially because that lunar eclipse in Scorpio is going to be something else. That lunar eclipse in Scorpio is going to be honestly emotionally triggering. Very transformative. But Scorpio is a different intensity to the water signs than Pisces and Cancer is. It just is a way deeper intensity. And it feels really, 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 really real. It feels really like you can't really ignore it. So with Scorpio energy, you can't really play too much because Scorpio is the unconsciousness. That Pluto energy is the unconsciousness, the things that you're not conscious about, but they're still impacting you. Okay? Those moments, those things that are running in the background, you don't even know they're impacting you. But then all of a sudden it hits you like a truck, and then you're like, damn, wow, I didn't realize that. Or I need to process that, or I need to heal that. And all of a sudden, then it feels just really, really intense. So while Scorpio energy can be very empowering, can be very transformative, it can be great for your spiritual growth, it is really intense. And it allows you to see and dig deeper within yourself and within different situations that will require you to trust yourself unconditionally. Because there's only one person Scorpio trusts, and it's themselves. They don't trust nobody. This is why I, as a Capricorn, always say, if I meet a Scorpio, I usually ask people what their signs are. If you tell me you're a Scorpio, I'm never lying to you. Not even as a joke. It's not happening. It's not happening. Because the second they find out you lied to them, the trust was barely there already. But there's no trust left. Because you done lied. They literally rule the truth. You know how Pisces rules lying? Scorpios rule the truth. Opposite energies. There's a reason why they attract each other, right? But Scorpios rule the truth. You don't want to lie to the sign that rules the truth. But people do it anyway, and it's funny. It's funny to me. It's funny. People do it, and I see people do it, and I'm like, oh, good luck with that. You're about to get roasted on some. The Scorpios really don't play about that stuff. Like, So this beautiful, powerful transformation that we're all going to be collectively going through requires you to do a little subconscious work. Mind you, we're navigating through a lot of different states of consciousness here. And you guys know I've talked about consciousness before. Because consciousness itself, astrologically, you'll find a lot of people that explain this really weird. And I find it weird because to me it just makes sense. Maybe it's because I'm a Gemini moon. But to me it just makes sense. But there's a lot of people that, especially with the planets, they will talk about different planets ruling certain things, but the definition of that word don't mean what that is. Like some people would say Neptune is a planet of the unconscious mind. But that don't make sense. Or Pluto is literally the unconscious planet. Like it don't make sense. Like sometimes the way, and you guys also have to understand, a lot of astrology has been kind of written, especially modern astrology, has been kind of written and dictated by non-people of color. So there are certain things, words that are used to say to describe certain things that don't make sense for that thing. Like I've also seen people say that Neptune is a planet of consciousness. And I'm like, okay, so what the hell is Mercury to you? Because Mercury literally rules your minds. And what does consciousness mean? To be aware. What is it that you're aware about in the moment? What's happening presently? Mercury rules what you are consciously aware about. Okay? It's a messenger. It's the things that is coming into your consciousness as well. Neptune rules the subconsciousness. The things that are underlining. the deeper message. There's a reason why subconsciousness is also connected to dreams, which Neptune rules. So why would Neptune rule the unconscious mind? Makes no damn sense. People don't make no damn sense. So the subconscious is when you're not fully conscious, but there's things underlining what is in your consciousness. There's a reason why there's a lot of things that come through within your dreams that sometimes you think is a message, but it's really your own internal fears. And that's, again, your subconscious trying to bring it up to your consciousness by appearing and manifesting in your dreams. And then you have the unconsciousness, which is Pluto, Scorpio energy. The things that are running, it's almost like the things that, think of a computer. It's like the programs running in the background, making the whole computer work. You might be presently typing, right? That's that consciousness. You might have a couple apps open that are running in the background, but that Pluto, that unconsciousness is the whole system that's running in the background. You could have a whole ass virus running in the background without you knowing. And that is your unconscious mind. That then, you end up realizing and finding about later, and then you need to, do a whole antivirus situation. And then there's another part that I like to highlight, which is the higher conscious minds, which a lot of people don't talk about. And astrologically, that's connected to Aquarius energy. There's a reason why they're very much like the alien sign and the, when it comes to Capricorn and Aquarius energy, Capricorn is very much grounded, earth-based, right? But we're both ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is a planet of time. Time as it exists within that physical reality, but also extended outward. So when you look at Aquarius energy, Aquarius is more intergalactic in the stars, in the universe kind of vibe, while Capricorn is very much grounded in the physical. So when you look at Aquarius energy, it extends outward. There's a reason why Aquarius rules detachment. And a lot of people, again, that's that stereotype of each sign, right? Aquarius rules attachment, they detach, blah, blah, but they do. That's what they do. That's what they do. They detach. There's a reason why they also rule the collective energies. They rule your individuality in the collective. That's why they're the water bearer. And I've explained this many times when it comes to tarot. Let me find the card so I can show it to y'all. When it comes to Aquarius energy, that water bearer energy highlights the collective energies. And I'm gonna find it. Hold on. It's about, why this card was in reverse for? Hold on. We almost there. Ooh, we found it. Aquarius. The water bearer, right? You have 2 cups, 2 jugs, honestly, 2 jugs of water. You have a pool of water, and you have 1 stream going on the ground. This is the collective consciousness. This is your own individuality. This is what you are pouring into. This is what you're contributing to the collective. This right here. And how it ends up connecting into the larger consciousness, the larger collective energies. And so Aquarius rules this energy of detachment, so that you can focus on your own individuality, your own inner self, your own revolution, your own person, and what you are bringing to the table, to the collective consciousness. It requires detachment. So there's a reason why that stereotype is even there in the first place. The gift of detachment is a gift. And I say this as your girl has a Venus in Aquarius. It is a gift, okay? It is a gift. Like, the fact that I can get over certain people, certain relationships, certain friendships in less than 2 minutes is a gift. Because some people will stay stuck on that shit for years. It is a gift. Detachment is a gift. And so when it comes to that intergalactic energies, Aquarius separates. Aquarius is that person, if you learned about psychology in college, or if you learned history, actually, Aquarius is the stranger in the town that comes into the town and is able to see the issues that are going on in the town from a different perspective, because they don't belong in that town. That's where they get that alien energy. There's almost like this distance there where they're able to analyze, because they're able to detach and disconnect themselves. They're able to analyze the situation in that perspective whatever's happening and say, hey, but you don't realize this is wrong, but you don't realize that is wrong. This is why they rule the collective energies. They perceive the collective through also a revolutionary mindset. This is why they rule revolution, evolution, the future. They're futuristic in that way. So it's how your individuality, how you are contributing to not only society, to the collective consciousness, to your own purpose. How you and your different self, your own personality is contributing. So for me, when I look at Aquarius, especially because it's co-ruled by Uranus, and Uranus is the one that also rules that higher consciousness, Aquarius is, to me, and the Aquarius energy rules the higher conscious mind, and Uranus rules the higher conscious mind, because Uranus is constantly trying to help get you to evolve and change and just go through that process. So I see that as your higher conscious mind, because Aquarius is also an air sign, so it goes back to that mind, but looking at it from a different perspective, from a different, whether it's by connecting to your higher self, whether it's by connecting to your ancestors, your spirits, whatever it is, however you are evolving, that's your higher conscious mind, and being able to connect to your higher self in that way. So there's different forms of consciousness, which I've talked about before. And it's important to understand the differences, because so many people mix up the words, and they be like, Pluto rules the subconscious mind. And I'm like, how? Baby, how? When Pluto as a planet itself takes so long to move from sign to sign, that it takes a minute for you to actually learn the lesson within that sign. Meanwhile, Neptune is here in your dreams almost every other night. Like, please. Please. Your unconscious behavior, your unconscious perspective is also a lot harder for you to understand. The lesson from those things is a lot harder for you to understand and get through, because it takes so long to integrate those lessons, versus Neptune. Neptune, you can tap into that Piscean energy, which is your subconscious mind, through your dreams, through your spiritual practice, through divination. Like, please. People will use, this is what I'm saying. Comes to modern astrology. Some people don't understand the words that they're saying. Like, they will read about that in a book because some non-person of color wrote it in a book, and they'll be like, yeah, this is what it means. But do you understand the word that is? Do you understand what it means? Because it don't make sense. And if it don't make sense, it don't make sense. Mind you, Aquarius rule astrology. So take it from my Venus in Aquarius. It don't make sense. it don't make sense. It don't make sense. Some things need to be made sense. So when it comes to your own consciousness, we're tapping into your subconscious this week, and we're building up to your unconscious with this lunar eclipse. That's why it's going to feel very intense, because you're going to have breakthroughs from shit that you didn't even know was the root of the issue, the truth of it all. The truth sometimes remains a mystery. There's also that depth of Pluto energy and Scorpio energy in ruling the truth. The truth is sometimes unconscious. You can't, there's some truths that you will never know. You will never have that confirmation. You will never be able to retain that. It will remain a secret and a mystery. And that thing is ruled by Pluto energy. It's ruled by Pluto. It is ruled by Scorpio. Because you know how they say the truth will set you free? That is that transformation that happens with Scorpio energy. Scorpio, that phoenix process that they go through, right? They go through that rebirth process. It's because they find out the truth. That's what transforms them. That's what makes them go through that death process. That's when they get triggered. Their fixed ass sign, their fixed ass self gets triggered into having to accept the truth, because they're ruled by it. And so because the truth literally sets them free, they have to evolve and transform in that moment. So you best believe that even though we have fixed signs, because Aquarius is also a fixed sign, they also have to evolve, especially Scorpio and especially Aquarius, both of these. When it comes to Leo, when it comes to Taurus, I don't really like that shit. But when it comes to like Aquarius and when it comes to Scorpio literally rules death and transformation. And Aquarius literally rules the future. They have no choice but to calibrate and integrate and go through their revolutions, go through their transformations in order to ground themselves in the reality that they need to ground themselves in. Leo's all about your ego. Your ego likes to stay fixed. So when it comes to Leo, fixed sign. It doesn't really want, your ego doesn't want to change. Your ego wants to be itself all the time. You did nothing wrong, boo. Your ego just wants to be fed. And then Taurus, who's another fixed sign, just wants to sit in pleasure. This is why in its toxic form, Tauruses rule hoarding, overconsumption, overeating, eating things that just make them feel good but are bad for them physically, for the physical health, or doing things that are bad for them but, you know, make them feel good physically, holding on to people or things that are toxic or not good for them just because they love them or they value them and they don't want to let them go. They don't like change. Those two signs, don't talk to them about change. But Scorpio and Aquarius, even though they're fixed, they have to transform. They have to. They have to. They have to. So keep that in mind when it comes to your consciousness moving into through this week. And as we build into this lunar eclipse in Scorpio, because it's going to be potent, okay? If you thought that the solar eclipse was something, the lunar eclipse in Scorpio is going to be something else, okay? Be very gentle with yourself. It don't matter how many planets are in Earth right now. Yes, there's an aspect of it that will help you feel grounded, but you best believe that the emotions are coming. It's happening. There's no avoiding. There's no running away from it. Listen to yourself. Listen to your intuition. Protect your energy, because I'm telling you, some people are trying it. Some people protect your energy, but brace yourself because it's definitely going to feel very intense. It's going to feel very, very, very intense. So take it easy. Be gentle. Take a spiritual bath. Best times for spiritual bath. Support your emotional healing. Support your emotional health. Make sure that you are okay. Hydrate. Have a good cry if you need to. Crying is medicine. And love yourself. Love yourself first. And if that means you letting go or stopping that thing, saying no to that thing, then love yourself. That's what it is. Anyway, we went really overtime this week, but I love you guys. That was the weekly healing circle. I hope y'all got all the messages that you needed. I love y'all so much. If y'all need a reading or anything, link is in bio or the description if you're on YouTube. For all of the things, do not forget to come to get your tickets for the lunar eclipse in Scorpio ceremony that we're going to be having, which is going to be a release ceremony. Because your girl's trying to help y'all with the thing, okay? So make sure you get your tickets. Link will be either on bio for TikTok or in the description for YouTube. For readings and stuff, link is in bio. I will see you guys in the next one because we done been here. It's like 12 a.m. We're still here. I love you guys so much. Thank you guys for being here. I'm sorry the live was late today. But yeah, your girl was in a meeting. But I love you guys. Have a very, very blessed night. Bye, y'all. Have a good night. I thought drop the cards.